Hi everyone, it's me, and today let's discuss about coffee together. Let's go.
Alright, so that covers game theory for the next couple weeks,
Zoom meeting.
unless anything last minute pops up. Moving on, food theory. Let's see, we've got Crystal Pepsi in the works, we've got radioactive bananas. What do we have going on for next week?
Open week. Any pitches?
People on
Open week.
TikTok are making mashed potatoes out of Pringles.
Of course they are. Oh, that sounds miserable. I like that. I want to cover that, but let's not do it next week just because that's a kitchen shoot. We've done a lot of kitchen stuff lately. Anything else?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Oh, Dan, haven't you and your wife been arguing about something?
So we've been having an argument about whether or not coffee is soup or not. She says it is soup. I say you don't drink soup.
Okay, first off, you do drink soup. Like,
You do drink soup.
You can ladle soup. It's just broth, right?
No,
but
you
you
slurp
understand.
soup, you drink coffee.
Campbell's made a whole thing about like drinking soup.
What type of soup would it be? Are you saying it's a bean soup?
No, I'm saying it's hot bean water.
The beans aren't in the soup.
It's not beanstalk. It's not like chicken. It's not like beef.
Okay, I think we got our episode. Amy's chugging her bean broth right now.
Don't say that!
Food theory.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the
Hello internet, welcome to Food Theory. Hi.
show that gets asked all the time how we come up with episode topics, and, well, you just saw it. That meeting at the top of the episode was exactly what gave rise to the video that you're watching right now. Our head editor, Dan, was having a nerdy debate with his wife, and so we decided to stick our noses into his business and settle it once and for all. Because that's what you
Sorry.
do when you make online content. You monetize your personal life. You see, back when this channel first launched, we covered what makes a sandwich a sandwich. That simple question sent us on a wild goose chase through court rulings, international tax law, and legal loopholes to ultimately find that the definition of a sandwich in some areas includes burritos, pizza, even chicken wings. Yep, you heard that right, chicken wings, which could never be considered a sandwich by any reasonable person ever. And yet there it was, defined as a sandwich by certain Colorado tax laws. But you see, those are the absurdly high stakes that we're dealing with in episodes like this. For
Get it. High stakes, as in the stick is.
as dumb and random as questions like, is coffee actually bean soup might seem, decisions around these definitions actually impact your pocketbook, as well as the bottom lines for both restaurants and the government. As an example of how the legal definition of coffee can lead to high-stakes legal battles, in 2014, a pair of people sued Target because they had been charged sales tax for their to-go order of coffee. Why would they have a problem with that? Well, California has a sales tax exemption for certain products which include, quote, coffee and coffee substitutes, tea and cocoa products. And yet here was Target charging them the sales tax. Seems like Target was clearly in the wrong here, right? Well, then you get to the tricky part. Under California tax law, you're charged different tax rates depending on whether you're getting hot or cold food. If you're just getting cold food, say a sandwich to go, you pay a lower tax rate. If you're getting something hot, like say a hot bowl of soup, then you pay a higher tax rate. But if that wasn't weird enough, it gets even stranger. If you're getting multiple food items, suddenly that becomes a meal. And if there's any hot food product in there whatsoever, then the entire thing is taxed as a hot meal. So,
Wow, there's a lot of gray areas that we actually don't pay attention to.
what does any of this have to do with coffee? Well, that California tax code lists coffee as an example of a hot food product. By its inclusion in a meal, it transforms the entire thing into a hot meal and gets it taxed higher. Cold sandwich, tax exempt. Hot coffee, tax exempt. Cold sandwich plus hot coffee, suddenly you've gotten yourself a hot meal and both parts are getting taxed at the higher rate. It's like when you multiply two negative numbers to get a positive. Eat two tax exempt food items together and you get to spend more on taxes. In the end, Target won the case. As the court said in its opinion on the verdict, the exemptions that may or may not apply to different food products are, quote, exceedingly closely regulated, complex, and highly technical. And as Matt Pat said in his opinion on the verdict, is dumb. But can case law help us settle our head editor Dan's domestic debate? Well, looking deeper into the legalese around the classification of soups and coffees, what immediately becomes clear is that tax law seems much more concerned with how the coffee is served and how you order it rather than what's actually in it. For example, many states have sales tax regulations that say if you go to Starbucks and pick up one of those pre-made frappuccinos that come in a glass bottle, you don't have to pay sales tax. Whereas if you went to the barista and asked him to make you a frappuccino made with the exact same ingredients and had it served in a plastic cup, then you would be paying sales tax. And then you have Pennsylvania, where brewed coffee that comes out of a vending machine normally gets taxed, but it's not taxed if it comes out of the vending machine in a cold bottle. So it seems today we need to be focused more on the culinary definitions of these food preparations rather than the legal ones. So from a culinary perspective, is coffee bean soup? Is it vegetable juice? Is it bean broth? Is it something else entirely? Well, if
Bean soup, vegetable juice, bean broth, seed water. That's interesting.
If you look, all of these classifications are made up of a first word that describes the food type and a second word that describes the liquid form. So to get our answer, let's tackle one of these at a time. Right out of the gate, though, it's time to tell our head editor Dan the words that he's always wanted to hear. Hey Dan, can you come into the booth?
What's up? You got good news for me?
Dan, you're right. Your wife is wrong. Coffee is definitely not bean soup.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
But it's not for the reason you think. Not because of the soup part, but because of the bean part. See, coffee beans aren't actually beans, just like peanuts aren't actually nuts, and koala bears aren't actually bears.
Okay, a bit of a technicality, but I'll take the win.
You see, the
Okay, technically win, I guess? Okay.
word bean actually has a very specific definition. Within the flowering plant family of Fabaceae, otherwise known as the legume, pea, or bean family, there are several genuses whose seeds are classified as beans. If you're not part of that specific group, then you are not technically a bean. And
Mr. Bean!
coffee is not part of the club. So for your wife to say it's a bean soup, she is technically wrong. It may still wind up being a soup, we're gonna get to that in a minute here, but it's definitely not a bean soup. Though, might I suggest not making a big deal of that tonight at dinner? Dunking on your wife for being wrong is rarely a good decision.
I appreciate the advice, I'm just not gonna listen to it.
All right, now back to the editor dungeon, please. This narrative conceit's getting a bit tiring to keep up. There's plenty of restocked coffee down there for you to inject as you see fit.
I prefer the IV bags.
Okay, so if coffee is
Okay, that is kind of weird. That is
a
weird.
plant, but it's not beans, then is it a vegetable? Well, also no. While an actual bean would be a legume and therefore a vegetable, what we call the coffee bean is actually a seed taken from the fruit of a coffea plant. The fruits of these plants, which are known as cherries or berries, contain one or two seeds that we then call coffee beans. And just to make matters even more confusing, those coffee cherries, not actually a cherry for similar taxonomical reasons. Let's just leave it at coffee beans aren't beans, they're the seeds of the coffea fruit. So that's the first half of what coffee actually is, but what about the second half of our classification? If coffee is a liquid made from fruit seeds, does that then make it a fruit juice? I mean, that's what pomegranate juice is after all. Pop those seeds like nature's own bubble wrap and drink the results. Well, no. And it all comes down to the word juice. Juice is technically the drink that's made from the natural liquids contained within a fruit or a vegetable. A liquid that is then extracted by squeezing or pressing. Squeeze an orange and drink what comes out. Same thing with pomegranate juice. Drink the liquid that's coming out of the seeds. If a product is labeled and sold as juice, it is legally required for the liquid portion to come from a fruit. This also means that fruit-flavored drinks that you make by mixing a powder with water like Kool-Aid, Tang, or Crystal Light are not juices. And you'll notice that they don't advertise themselves that way. They're not allowed to. If you read the packaging for products like this, you'll tend to see stuff like you see on the Crystal Light label here, a sweet alternative to juice. So,
Artificially flavored. Artificially flavored. Okay, so... oh yeah!
cross fruit juice off the list. That said, if you do want to try actual coffee juice, it's a thing you can actually make. In fact, that's exactly what a company called Kona Red did. Rather than throwing the outer part of the coffea fruit away after removing the seeds, they took the fruit and squeezed the juice out of them to create a bottled drink that you can no longer buy because they've gone out of business. Apparently, there's a good reason that part of the plant doesn't make it into the cup of joe that you're sipping every morning. So if it's not a fruit juice, then what does it make it then? A fruit broth, soup, puree, gruel, porridge, gravy? Well, gravy is an easy one to cross off the list. For as delicious as a slow-pouring, thick, viscous coffee gravy might sound, aka not at all delicious, gravies, by definition, are thickened by adding flour or cornstarch. Definitely not a fit. Porridge and gruel can also be safely crossed off the list for similar reasons. Those are foods that are made from starchy cereal grains. Don't believe everything you see on TikTok, friends.
I'm trying the coconut water berry breakfast cereal.
Oh,
it's good.
Sorry, Lizzo, that is not cereal. That is a bowl of fruit. Also, why did you put random ice cubes in? I just can't. Anyway, cereals are specifically grasses that are cultivated for their edible grain components, like wheat, rice, and barley. Again,
Alright, so case in point, a lot of the more you know, I guess, the more you know. Okay, the more you know.
and not relevant to coffee. Puree is actually promising. A puree, by definition, is made by taking a fruit or vegetable and pressing, blending, sieving, or grinding it. Sounds like the same set of words you'd use to describe making coffee. However, what knocks puree out of contention is that the point of grinding, pressing, blending, and sieving is that the food can eventually be consumed. You eat a squash puree, not just the liquid that was run through it. But no matter how much you grind those coffee beans, you are not going to be eating those grounds. The reason that we grind them up is to maximize the surface area so that the flavor can leach out into the hot water that's poured through it. If you mixed the coffee grounds into your final beverage, then sure, that could be considered a puree. But if you drink your coffee like a normal, rational person, then nope, not gonna cut it. Which brings us down to broth or soup. Let's tackle broth first. This one seems like it might apply. A broth or bouillon is made by simmering water together with a mixture of other ingredients. And while yes, most coffee is made using boiling water, some preparations involve simmering. For instance, if you use a percolator, the water technically should never reach a boil. But even if we were just simmering our coffee beans, we'd have to contend with the fact that broths tend to describe the products of a simmering meat, fish, or vegetable, which our coffee bean, as we've established, is none of. And with that, we're here. The final option. Is coffee a soup? The answer is yes.
No!
Yes!
No! Yeah!
Sorry, Dan, but soup is commonly made by boiling the ingredients to extract their flavor, and boiled water is the most common way to make coffee. But that's not all. One of the classic methods of flavoring soup involves adding ingredients to the boiled water that aren't part of the finished product that you eat. It's common for soups to be made with ingredients that are added for flavor and then removed before serving. Ingredients like bones, or spices like bay leaves and rosemary. Exactly what we do with the coffee grounds. But is there such a thing as a fruit seed soup? Absolutely. Fruit soup's definitely a thing. Seed soup's also a thing. Squash and nigella seed soup, sunflower seed soup, cotton seed soup, the list goes on and on. But not only are fruit soups and seed soups both a thing, fruit seed soups also very popular. Search for melon seed soup recipes on Google and you'll get millions of results. Stuff like egusi soup, a traditional West African dish, or even more popular, pumpkin seed soup, a sweet and creamy dish. The only thing that keeps this from being a perfect label is the fact that soup is classically used to describe a food, not a beverage. But hey, with the amount of sugar and syrup that some of us add to our coffees, we've already got enough calories to call it a meal. Yeah, that Starbucks Frappuccino has more calories than the blueberry muffin you're eating with it. So there you have it, friends. Coffee is a fruit seed soup, not vegetable juice or bean broth or a legume mash. It is basically the equivalent of tomato soup. Bring that one up the next time you're delivering someone's Starbucks order. No one's gonna know what you're talking about, but you can rest confident in the knowledge that you are technically correct, which
And technically, people is gonna be mad at you. Pretty mad at you. Yep.
we all know is the best kind of correct.
No,
But hey,
no,
that's
no.
just a theory. A food theory. Bottoms up. And hey, if you're the kind of person who spends
Bottoms
way
up?
too much time thinking about how to classify and sort food into different categories, and I know you are since you made it all the way to the end of the video, then click over to see this classic food theory where we talk about what does and
Thank you
does
for
not meet the
subscribing.
legal
Thank you so much for
definition of a
support.
sandwich. Or if you're in the mood for some more coffee-themed theories, check out this episode where we talk about how coffee might just be responsible for history's most important scientific discoveries, including the phone that you have in your hand right now. I know you're watching on a mobile device.
Well, anyways, thank you so much for watching this video together with me. I hope you find this video very knowledgeable, wisdom-filled, and educational. It's quite fun to watch as well, so it's more towards entertainment plus educational. Edutainment for the win! Alright, having said that, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you do like this video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and comment down below if you have any share with us. Don't forget to follow my channel. I hope to see you in my next video. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory! Bon appetit! Wait, no. He mentions bottoms up instead of bon appetit, so it's bottoms up. One more time. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory! Bottoms up! Let's go. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye bye! Thank you so much. Subscribe! Thank you so much.